You've lived in it so long you don't question it anymore. You were born into it, schooled by it, trained by it, entertained by it, shaped by it, and somewhere along the way it convinced you that it was real, that it was stable, that it was truth. But the system, this world system, is not what it claims to be. It is an illusion, a shadow dressed in light, a structure built on the scaffolding of rebellion, and it is destined to fall. They told you it was progress, that if you just played by the rules, if you kept your head down and followed the currents, you'd arrive at peace, at purpose, at security. But look around. Has the system delivered? Are we more whole? Are we more grounded? Or are we frayed, divided, anxious, angry, lost, caught in 1,000 distractions that numb the soul and silence the voice of the one who calls? You see, the danger of the system isn't just that it lies. It's that it lies so well, it tells you who to be, what to value, what to fear, what to follow, what to silence, what to worship. But it leaves one thing out. It leaves out the truth. Not partial truth, not moralism, not slogans of convenience, the truth that comes from the throne, the truth that shakes kingdoms, the truth that sets the captive free. The system wants you compliant, comfortable, and compromised, because a compromised soul will never stand when the trumpet sounds. It wants you lukewarm, just warm enough to feel safe, but too cold to carry fire. You were not made for that system. You were not born for its timeline. Turns you were not chosen to blend in, to be molded by its hands, or to feed at its table. You are not a consumer of culture. You are a carrier of covenant. And now the system is cracking. Have you not seen it? The cracks are widening, morally, spiritually, economically, socially. Foundations once considered sacred now mocked. Truth replaced with preference, identity shattered, God forgotten. The system is failing, and it must fail, because what is not founded on him cannot stand before him, and when it falls, many will fall with it, not because they wanted to, but because they never saw it coming. They never questioned the current. They never asked who built the system. They never paused long enough to notice the shaking beneath their feet. But you were never meant to go along with it. That's why you feel what you feel, that holy discomfort, that spiritual friction, that inner knowing that something is off, something is wrong, something is ending. That's not paranoia, that's discernment. That's not fear, that's clarity. You are the remnant in the system's final hour. You are the watchman when others sleep. You are the voice when others echo. You are the resistance, not of the flesh, but of the spirit. And hear me, if you put your trust in the system, you will fall with it. But if you put your trust in the one who stands above systems, who outlasts empires, who holds kingdoms in his hand, then though the earth tremble, you will not be moved. The world may call it failure, but heaven calls it fulfillment. The collapse of the system is not the end of your purpose. It is the beginning of your rising. But it begins with your sight. What you see, how you see. You must unlearn what the system taught you. Unplug from its voices, detox from its patterns, and return, not just in form, but in fire, to the God who called you before the foundation of the world. Do not fear what is collapsing. Fear only this, that you would miss your moment, that you would hear the call and stay silent, that you would sense the shaking and still cling to dust, that you would be chosen but never rise. Because this is not the hour of survival. It is the hour of separation, the hour of calling, the hour of commission. The illusion is breaking, the curtain is being pulled back, the sandcastle is being swept away by the tide. The system is failing, and it was never your foundation. You think time is still on your side. You think the days are just passing like they always have. But time is not standing still. It's not waiting for you to figure it out. The clock is not just ticking, it's counting down. And you, chosen one, are not living in ordinary days. These are prophetic days, sacred days, the kind of days that prophets longed to see but never did. And now you're in them. You've been placed here on purpose, not by chance, not by birth order, not by family line, but by divine assignment. That's why your soul can't settle. That's why your spirit is restless. That's why you feel like you don't fit. Because you weren't made to fit, you were made to stand. May 10 is not just a date. It's a line, a marker, a flare in the sky, and heaven is using it as a trumpet blast. It may come quietly in the natural, but in the spirit it is a declaration. And only those who are awake will hear it. It's the day before the world expects anything. It's hidden, tucked in plain sight. A date most will scroll past, sleep through, laugh at, or label coincidence. But you're not like most. You've been stirred for a reason. You've been shaken for a purpose. You've been made uncomfortable not because you're lost, but because you're being aligned. Aligned to what? To truth, to calling, to warfare, to your assignment. Understand this. Heaven does not operate on the world's calendar. The system has its dates, its fake celebrations, its crafted narratives, its deceptive alignments. But heaven has its own appointments, appointed times, moments when the veil grows thinner, when the call gets louder, when the weight of eternity presses into the present moment. And May 10 carries that weight. It is not the end. It is the sign before the end. It is not the fall. It is the wind that comes before the fall. It is not the collapse, but the crack in the foundation. It is the moment before the shaking turns into breaking. And if you are not rooted, if you are not watching, if you are not listening, you'll miss it. You'll miss your place. You'll miss your purpose. You'll be standing in the middle of a divine shift, but acting like it's just another day. And don't wait for confirmation from the news. The news won't tell you this. They are part of the system. Don't wait for social media to validate the urgency. It never will. It will entertain you, distract you. Add noise to the frequency, but not signal, not revelation. The world will go on mocking, scoffing, sleeping, but the Spirit is not asleep. The Spirit is speaking, and He's calling those who have ears to hear. And if you're hearing this, then you're one of them. You say, but nothing happened last time. You say, it's just another date. But that's how the enemy blinds you. He numbs you with familiarity. He lulls you with apathy. And you miss the burning bush because you were waiting for fire from the sky. But God moves in mystery. He works through patterns, through prophetic rhythms, through divine whispers. May 10 is a whisper that shakes the earth. It is a quiet warning with eternal consequences. It's not about what happens on that day in the headlines. It's about what happens in you because of it. Will you prepare? Will you repent? Will you return? Will you rise? Because the date is not the event, the date is the door. The question is, will you step through? Some will see this as fear, mongering. Let them. Some will call it foolishness. Let them. The same was said in the days of Noah. The same was said when prophets spoke to deaf kings. The same was said when truth stood trial and lies sat on thrones. But to those with oil in their lamps, to those who feel the tremble beneath their feet, to those who know something is about to break, this word is life. This word is warning. This word is fire. Chosen one, don't wait for permission to prepare. Don't wait for applause to obey. Don't wait for proof to believe. Move now. Set your house in order now. Clean your altar now. Separate yourself now. Because when the door shuts, it will not open again, and those who mocked the rain will drown in silence. May 10 is not the destination, it is the signal, the countdown to a greater unveiling, and those who ignore it will do so at their own peril. Prepare, because what's coming next will not wait for you to be ready. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone is meant to. You feel that, don't you? You've tried to explain the fire in your bones. You've tried to share the urgency. You've tried to bring others into the weight of what you're sensing. But they look at you like you're strange. They shrug it off, change the subject, laugh it away, or even question your sanity. That's not because you're wrong. It's because you're being separated. Separation is not rejection. It's not isolation. It's revelation. It's God revealing who you are by removing what no longer fits. And when God begins to separate, it's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A conversation you used to enjoy suddenly feels hollow. A relationship that used to feed you now drains you. Places that once felt like home now feel foreign. That's not something going wrong. That's something going right. That's the shaking of identity. That's the calling pushing through comfort. That's heaven saying, you are not like them. You are mine. There's a choosing taking place in this hour. A divine sifting. And it's not happening through religious ceremony or title or spotlight. It's happening in the unseen, in the quiet, in the depths of the heart. God is pulling his people apart, not to punish them, but to prepare them. And if you're feeling the friction, if you're feeling the distance grow between you and the world you once walked in, it means you're one of the chosen. And being chosen is not easy. The chosen one doesn't get the wide road. They don't get applause. They don't get to hide in the crowd. They are marked, and once you're marked, you can't go back. You can't blend in. You can't compromise like others do. It won't sit right. You can't sin like you used to. It will torment your soul. You can't walk into old places without feeling the weight of destiny pulling you out. You may be surrounded by people but still feel alone. That's part of the calling. You're not lonely because you're lost. You're lonely because you're being led. Led into the wilderness, led into separation, led into consecration, because God always calls the chosen apart before he sends them forth. Look through Scripture. He never used someone greatly until he separated them deeply. Moses had to be pulled out of Egypt and out of the palace. Joseph had to be stripped of his coat, his status, and even his freedom. David had to be hidden in caves before he was ever crowned. Esther had to be pulled into a palace that became a battlefield. And Messiah himself, he was despised, rejected, and even crucified before he was glorified. Do you see it? This is the pattern. This is the cost. And if you're being separated now, it's because there's something for you on the other side that the crowd cannot carry. You're not being separated because you're weak. You're being separated because you're weighty. And the weight on your life cannot survive the compromise around your life. So God is removing the scaffolding, tearing down the counterfeit connections, breaking the agreements you made when you didn't know who you were. You thought it was people walking away. You thought it was relationships ending, but it was heaven answering your prayer to be used. Because he can't use what's still attached to Egypt. The voices around you may grow quieter, the approval may dry up. But the voice of the Spirit will grow louder, the call will become clearer. The burden will become heavier, and that is your confirmation. That's not loss, that's elevation. That's not rejection, that's refinement. You are not being disqualified. You are being set apart, and hear this: when the world begins to fall apart, the ones who were set apart will be the only ones who can stand. When the system collapses, the separated will rise, not because they're better, not because they're perfect, but because they're anchored in truth, anchored in purpose, anchored in fire. So, if you've been weeping in the quiet, wrestling with isolation, feeling like you've been passed over or forgotten, you haven't. You've been hidden like an arrow in the hand of a warrior, hidden like oil in the alabaster jar, hidden like fire inside the bones of a prophet. And when the moment comes, when May 10 strikes like a match on dry kindling, the hidden will be revealed. The weeping will turn to war cries, the separated will become the sent. You are not everyone, you were never meant to be. You are the chosen one, and the call is not for later, it's for now. But before the collapse of the external, before the shaking of empires, before the fire falls on the systems of this world, the battle begins inside. The most dangerous system is not the one outside you, but the one still living within you. The structures of fear, doubt, insecurity, compromise, bitterness, these are the systems that must fall first. Because if they don't, even when the walls of Babylon crash down, you'll still be bound in chains you can't see. Before the system falls, you must be free. You've been chosen, yes, called, yes, set apart, yes, but that doesn't mean you're untouched. The enemy knows he can't stop your calling, so he'll sabotage your confidence. He'll plant seeds of fear before the assignment even begins. He'll use your memories like daggers and your past like a muzzle. He'll say, "You're not ready, you're not pure, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have the words, you don't carry the oil, you're not as anointed as they are." And he'll say it in your own voice, so you mistake it for truth, but it's a lie. A crafted, familiar, seductive lie, because it sounds like your voice, but it carries no life. And if you don't confront that voice, if you don't recognize that it's the voice of the failed system trying to resurrect itself inside you, you'll never speak what you were born to declare. Understand this. Your inner world is your battlefield. That's where the enemy wages war. That's where destiny is stolen or secured. And before God gives you a platform, He gives you a furnace. Before He places the sword in your hand, He teaches you to wield it in the dark, not against others, but against the system in your soul. So, how do you overcome these inner walls? How do you rise when everything in you still carries the echoes of defeat? You don't wait for the feeling to go away. You speak through it. You don't wait to feel brave. You declare the truth until it becomes your posture. When fear whispers, "You're not enough," you respond with, "I was never supposed to be, He is." When shame says, "You can't be used," you shout back, "His grace makes me unstoppable." You don't overcome by your willpower. You overcome by your agreement. Agreement with truth. Agreement with the Spirit. Agreement with the voice of the one who called you from the womb, who anointed you in the fire, and who appointed you for this hour. You see, what the enemy fears most isn't just your message. It's that you'll finally believe it. Because once you believe it, you won't flinch. You won't hesitate. You won't check to see who's watching or what they think. You won't tailor your obedience to fit their approval. You'll move like fire. You'll speak like thunder. You'll walk in rooms and shift atmospheres because the system inside you has been overthrown, and now only one voice rules there. You can't carry this kind of message and still be bound by the need to be liked. You can't carry this oil and still be tormented by the fear of being misunderstood. You can't walk in your calling and keep holding onto the fear of failure, because the truth is, failure is not falling down. It's refusing to stand up when God says move. Don't wait to feel worthy. The system taught you to earn it, but heaven never said you had to be worthy. Heaven said you had to be willing. Willing to look foolish, willing to lose comfort, willing to go alone, willing to obey even when the crowd says it makes no sense. And when you become willing, truly willing, the internal strongholds begin to break. Not because you shouted louder, but because you finally agreed with God. An agreement with God is always violent to the lies that once ruled your mind. You want to be ready for May 10. You want to carry the weight of this hour, then begin here. Overthrow the lies inside you before the systems outside you collapse. Because when the shaking comes, you can't afford to be questioning your identity. When the fire falls, you must already know who you are. You must already be unshaken, already untangled, already burning with the truth you were born to release. This isn't about hype. It's not about performance. It's about alignment, divine, supernatural, unshakable alignment with your calling. The world's systems are trembling, the stage is being set, and heaven is not looking for perfect people. Heaven is looking for pure vessels, vessels who have laid down their fear, vessels who have silenced the enemy's voice in their soul, vessels who don't just carry a word, but are the word. Living, breathing, walking declarations of the kingdom. Because when the system fails, the only thing that will remain standing is what was never part of it to begin with.